Receiving anything. For football, there's the top high school kickers and long snappers in the country are here, and they're getting an award tonight.
And you're taking these pictures?
Yes.
Doing a movie on it.
Oh, and who is he?
Ask him.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Chris Rubio.
Oh.
One, two, three, 4, 5. Beautiful. Just like that. Again. Set. Slow. 1, 2, 3, 4.
What is Rubio?
5.
He is the man, the myth, the legend. He does, is, and refers to himself in the third person, and rightfully so. He is bigger than life, but smaller than life. He has taken a pretty much obscure position on a football team and made it a national award. The guy's got an award named after him. He's got a pose that kids take pictures all over the world and send, Rubioing.
He has a phenomenal facial hair. He has a goatee, a shaved head. He's 6'3". He's at the time he was big. He was a big guy.
I think I met Rubio for the first time in. I think I heard about him first, actually.
Unique character, completely different character, charismatic, engaging. Really, really interesting man.
Okay? Now everyone watch this. Den Blaker, get set. Everyone's watching you now. I want you to pause like I freeze you at the very end. This is parents, this is what I want you to see when you're done. This is gonna be gross, but you're gonna understand when I'm done talking. Butt down, come up, stop, now go. Stop. If he took a dump, he should be able to catch it. That's how far his hand should be back. It's disgusting, but now you understand what you're looking for. Okay, now everyone go back to snapping. Does that smell like peppermint to you? Does everyone have enough balls? That really didn't sound right, but.
It's so much more than snapping. It is so much more. He gets him to be like a complete family. They become friends. They're all competing for the same job, yet they become very close friends and support each other.
You know, it's not about just about long snapping. It's about who these young men are going to be.
We talked about football, but football wasn't the priority. It was life.
If anyone has a good snap that is so like strong and they couldn't keep it, you hurt them.
You buy lunch.
I'll buy you lunch and give you a big hug. Okay, but it's got to be a good snap. Let's go. High five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spencer! It's fantastic. Spencer, what are the odds you think I could turn and hit the goalpost from right here?
52 to 1.
52 to 1?
72 to 1. Go. And $1 on it.
Okay, you want me to come?
$1 odds at that, you mean you pay him $72? $1 says you can't do it. Not this. Hey, Ken. He's done it. I've seen it, but he's not gonna get it now. You guys want to use in the backyard? Oh, what the heck? Oh no. Wow.
Logan, you're doing all your drills, right? Lay down drills every single day, right? Every single day, right? Yes, every single day. From now on. Your knee has nothing to do with your upper body. My big Canadian, how are you feeling? Good. Are you sweating right now? Is it so hot?
No, it's pretty chill, yeah.
So I heard a couple nights ago you decided not to come home.
What?
And just hung out with your ladies all night? Yeah. You'd hate to have me to hurt you, right? Walk around, talk. Maybe you sitting back here makes you look cocky.
No, what?
It makes you look cocky. Yes, it does. I'm not saying you are cocky. I'm saying it makes you look cocky.
No one's snapping.
You just talk. Hey, man, where are you from? Hey, what's going on? You got to learn to speak, dude. This is very soft.
I feel the inside.
It's velour.
He's such a good communicator, and he's such a phenomenal. I think he's a phenomenal person that understands how to connect with other individuals.
Set, go! Eyes through, eyes through, eyes through, eyes through, eyes through. You want to pretend like you have nails in your feet, and you're going to rip the nails out. Okay, it's like a bad episode of Saw. Okay.
Good. Stop. Now you go. Perfect. You're welcome.
I mean, he's a big ass. I mean, that's.
Went to some place called Tree Line, like towards the Arctic, where it's so cold trees don't grow. Who the hell goes there? Avado, move that left foot back just a tad. Good, beautiful. Lift your butt up just a tad, lift your butt up just a tad more. Okay? Then I want you to sit back down like, hey, if you were gonna, I want it up to the point if you were gonna fart a ball, it would go over his head. Does that make sense?
I think this personality of his, and he's not a screamer. Every kid feels that he has a personal connection with Rubio. I'd say more than half of them have nicknames. He's a different guy. He reaches the kids and motivates the kids differently than like high school or college coaches do.
Okay, right there. Okay, you're gonna hit the flag, the pole, the white pole. It doesn't have to hit the red, just the pole. Okay, we're gonna do a 15 push-up bet. Okay, you've got to be honest. Nico, you're in charge of your group for honesty. Carpinteria, you're in charge of your group for honesty. Big Sam, you're in charge of your group for honesty. Slim pickings over there. Canadian, you're in charge of yours. Okay, 10 times. First one to 10, go. Go. You have 5? Garza, what do you guys got? What do you have? 1? What's happened? Is there some sort of wind draft on this one? This is a drill to get them to not think, to get them to relax, have a little bit of fun. Yet they're still using all the snapping motion. I hate doing things like militaristically, even though like time-wise I am that way. I can't stand when you do things where, you know, have some fun. You know, like just like anything, it just relax, have some fun. It's not a hard thing. Don't make it harder than it is. And this, you can hear the laughter, you can hear everyone having fun. That's what I want. I want them to have a little bit more fun so they're relaxed. almost blasé about it, you know?
Get him, buddy.
How did you even do that? I'm actually more impressed than I am mad.
Rubio is, he's a pretty amazing man. I've only known him for maybe 7 or 8 years, but I can't remember ever not knowing him.
We are in Lewiston, Idaho, my home. Basically in my office, working on the computer. Got emails on the left, and then basically website, blog, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, back into the website, back into the blog on the right-hand side, jumping from both back and forth, and then you also have the phone plugged in. So if any text messages come in, you can answer them pretty much right away. Real busy time of the year right now. Not busy with camps per se, because we just finished June and July, but massive amounts of uploading film, creating the films, the movies of the kids for YouTube. Then you got to do all the rankings, and while you're trying to do that, all the emails are coming in, so you're trying to basically keep everyone at bay, and it's hard because I'm the one that does it all, so it makes it a little bit more tricky. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, so I've seen the crowded and the populated and all that good stuff, and had about enough of it. And now I live in Lewiston, Idaho, which is very, very, very small town, very rural, very slow paced. I'm told it's like being born and raised in the 50s. Just very slow, it's relaxing, very, very good people, very genuine people. It's just a really nice area, good area to raise kids. That's reason number 2 of why I'm living in Lewiston, because it's so slow and spread out. I mean, face that way real quick. I mean, you can see there's a whole lot of nothing. But that's what I like. I mean, it's great. If I want to see a big city, I travel so much that I get to experience Chicago, Charlotte, Atlanta, New York, Miami, cities like that. That's great and all, but it's small doses. And so I get to come back here and just relax and hang out with some great friends and family. And that would be the second reason. Number 1 reason I am out here is because of my beautiful wife, Jolie. So the story how I actually, quote unquote, met Jolie, it's pretty interesting to say the least. All right, so in 1949, my mom, Deb, was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So about 3rd grade, we'll go 1954-ish, my mom moves to California. Her best friend turns out to be someone named Barb Eakins. They're like 2 peas in a pod. Okay, so from elementary through middle school through high school, blah, 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 have a great time. They are each other's bridesmaids, and they are just inseparable. So in the late 60s, Barb, Jolie's mother, is dating someone named Joe Herrera. Joe goes to Vietnam. He becomes very, very good friends with someone named Leroy Damiano. They're very, very close friends out in Vietnam. Leroy ends up dying out in Vietnam in war. Joe escorts his body back to Harrison, Idaho, meets the entire family, the Damiano family, has a, really connects with them, leaves the body with the family, spends a couple days with them, and then he goes back to Covina, California. He tells Barb, you got to meet this Damiano family up in Harrison. It's a great, beautiful location. They're just great people. She goes, okay, when we get a chance, we'll go up there. They go up there. Barb says, they're wonderful people. I love them to death. Great people. They come back. They get married. Joe and Barb get married. He gets killed in a tragic accident when he was working for the police force. So now Barb is basically like a 22, 23-year-old widow. She ends up going back to Harrison, Idaho to speak with the Damiano family because they were so nice to her. She just needed something to get out of California, get a little bit of comfort in her life because, you know, she's a 22, 23-year-old widow. While she's up there, and she ends up speaking to Leroy's brother named Dale. One thing leads to another. She gets married to Dale Damiano up in Harrison, Idaho, and they have a kid named Jolie Damiano. Jolie is named after Barb's first husband, Joe Herrera. So you've got Jolie Damiano is born in August. And then about 3 months prior to that, you had someone named Christopher Rubio born. So you had Deb had a boy, Barb had a girl within 3 months of each other, and they were basically raised as like brother and sister or very close cousins. Where I would see Jolie, she would come down to California and do the whole, you know, let's go to SeaWorld, let's go to Universal Studios, let's go to Disneyland type thing. You know, the standard vacation from an out-of-towner. And she would always stay at her place, and we had a great time. It was more brother and sister growing up.
Chris was just like a brother to me growing up. We'd see each other probably twice a year, and we'd go to Disneyland, we'd do spring breaks together. We went on trips. We went on a trip together in the 8th grade to Hawaii when we both graduated from 8th grade.
And Jolie was a mature 8th grader, and I was a chubby, non-mature 8th grader. And I remember she just absolutely hated me because it was one of those where, like, what do you want to do? And I was, well, obviously we're going to order pizza. Like, what else would you do? And she's like, you don't want to walk around, go to the beach? And I'm in my purple sweatpants going, no, I'm good. Let's just order a pizza. And I remember we just stayed in a hotel room, and she just, every time I looked over and I was eating the pizza, she just looked at me like, oh, what the hell? And it was great. So you could say almost that I was attracted to her a little bit more when it finally came around to it. But that's how essentially we met.
Tried a lot of years to have him, you know. We were really excited about it. Everything I could have hoped for.
My mother's name is Deborah Patricia Rubio. Everyone calls her Deb or Debbie. My dad's name is Frederick Lawrence Rubio. Everyone called him Larry. They were married, I want to say, in 1973, and they were divorced, I think, when I was about 9 months old. I went with my mother. I stayed with my mom. I was very much a mama's boy growing up. They got divorced when I was so young that I honestly didn't know the difference. I would go to my buddy's house, and you know, dad would come home from work, mom would come home from work, and I almost thought that was a little odd. And I would see my dad, you know, a couple Sundays a month maybe, and then he'd be around for some sporting events and things like that. And then that was all just waves like this. Growing up, when I would say until 6th, 7th, 8th grade, right around there, he was around, and he would come by pretty much, you know, like every Sunday. It was kind of odd because he would go hang out at my mom's house. Like, she would leave or go to the back room or something like that, and he would just hang out, and we'd play catch or barbecue, things like that.
There was one thing with his dad I remember when he was playing baseball. He always made home runs. He was always a good hitter. First of all, he was slow, so he didn't want to have to try to run out the ball to first base. So he'd hit him over the fence and he'd make a home run. A couple times his dad would say, there was, you only made one home run or something like that. Was thought that criticizing him might make him do better, which wasn't a good theory. But Chris and his dad weren't communicating very well when maybe junior high level, and Chris had to get glasses when he was like 5th or 6th grade. And I can remember him writing his dad a letter saying, it wasn't that I wasn't a good baseball player, I needed glasses. And I just broke my heart that he thought he had disappointed his father because he wasn't playing up to his expectations about, playing baseball.
It was almost like he would try to sum up like 6 months into a weekend. So we'd go hit balls. Instead of hitting, say, 30 baseballs, it would be 300. And by the time I was, halfway done, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember just saying, please just let me like hurt my shoulder real quick just so I don't have to keep going. I do remember like a 7th, 8th grade time frame where he just wasn't around. And I remember a lot of time, you know, looking towards the crowd like, maybe today, you know, one of those things. And I remember asking my mom a lot about it and saying, what, and I don't know. She'd say, I don't know. You've done nothing wrong. I don't know, I can't explain your father's actions. You know, and it's one of those things where to this day, I still don't know. You talk about, you know, finishing a sentence with an ellipsis, ... You're looking at it, man. My mom did a very good job, Deb did a very good job of, if I wanted to do something, I could do it. Like she would say, if you can do it, why can't you do it? You know, like, you're the best at it. You know, and I'm, okay, I guess I'm the best, you know? And it was one of those things that, you know, the confidence that she gave me, I like to give to others as well. And that's why I'm very big on that. Like, if you believe you can do something, you can do it.
He had a lot of confidence. Even though he was a little bit chubbier and sometimes a little bit slower, he had a lot of confidence. I can remember once he came home and said he was going to be in a talent show. And I thought, oh my God, you know, what talents do we have here?
I played football in the fall, went to basketball, went to baseball. Then in the summertime, I'd go to my grandparents' house and I'd play golf. And I was almost the kind of kid every single time I didn't want to play, I didn't want to play. And then my mom would say, just go, try it for 1 week, see if you like it. As soon as I went to one practice, I was hooked.
He'd get nervous in the beginning, but then as soon as we signed him up, he would go to bed with the glove if it was baseball, the football if it was football, and he would, in his bed, he would toss it or play. And then I could tell that he was into it because he would start bringing, you know, set his cleats out and get ready, you know, for the sport. And so I could always tell, but I always told him, you have to try everything first. Then if you don't like it, you finish the year out and then we won't do it again. But you have to try it first. You just can't say, no, I can't do it.
Growing up bigger like that was definitely not, you know, and that goes into the sports as well. I mean, growing up, I could never play tackle football because where I lived, everything was done by weight. So if you weighed 125 pounds, you played with another 125-pound guy. You know, so basically for safety purposes, and you know, they should do that. My mom never allowed me to play tackle, and finally in 3rd grade, Mom, you gotta let me play, you gotta let me play, you gotta let me play. She goes, let's go check, see what you can do. Yes, I'm all pumped. Get to the weigh-ins, they're like, yeah, you can play. And I'm like, this is wonderful. They said, you're gonna play with the 8th graders. And I'm, you know, an 8-year-old 3rd grader playing with 14-year-old 8th graders. And my mom looked at me and I said, I'll go back to flag. And so I was able to play flag football because there was no weight limit. It was just done by age. So I played flag football, I want to say from like 1st grade all the way until 8th grade. And I was a quarterback. And that's how I learned how to do what I do. I mean, I was just a big kid who could throw the ball very far. I had no footwork, no athleticism with my feet. It was a shotgun, Rubio turns and throws it every single time. And I could throw the ball, you know, 40 yards, which, you know, as a 5th or 6th grader, that's like 7 miles. And so that's what I did. I could remember my mom always getting my size of the shirt would always be the adult size. So I remember like 5th, 6th grade, like every kid's, you know, Oshkosh, youth large or whatever. And I'm rolling out with like an adult XL. And I remember so many times it was almost, you know, for a kid growing up it was hard because you got all these kids with this shirt and then here's the coach's shirt and Rubio's shirt. And I was like, damn, this isn't good, man. But I remember one particular instance growing up where for baseball, and this was back in the 80s where, you know, they didn't have these nice cotton shirts like they did now. It was cheap polyester things that you just sweated in, and polyester pants, and I just looked like, you know, a sausage, you know, the tight skin of it. And my mom would put the shirt over a rocking chair, and so it was great. It would stretch the thing out all night. 1st inning, to put it on, whew, loose. 2nd inning, loose. 3rd inning, 4th inning, 5th inning. I mean, I looked like I was gonna explode. Thank God it didn't have buttons or someone would have lost an eye.
There was even one time when he went out for basketball and that jersey just was not gonna fit. There was no way, I couldn't stretch it. I tried everything and then I had to take it. I don't know if you would want this to be known.
the jersey just didn't even come close to the right size. And I remember my mom cutting the sides of it and adding material just so it fit. And bless her heart, she picked the wrong color material. So it was kind of obvious to see where it was all stitched together. And I was like, oh, good God. Not only does it not fit and there's a huge cut on both sides, but now it's, royal blue, navy blue. And it was like, oh, this doesn't bode well.
He was a little bit worried that they would notice, but at least it fit and they let him wear it. It was just never going to happen for the poor thing.
I was well over 2 clicks by like 6th grade, I think. But I was a good athlete. I was a very, very good athlete. I mean, I made all-star teams on baseball, basketball, football, all those, and I think that helped out. Where I was big, but I was still athletic. So I was never, the quote-unquote last kid picked. I was the first kid picked, or I'd be the team captain, and then I would always pick the last kid picked first, just to piss everyone off. And because it's the whole underdog thing. I was like, come on. And I used to tell the other kids, I'll still beat you with this kid. Like one of these, and then you're going to feel even worse.
He was always a good athlete, but if there was someone that wasn't quite as good as he was or something, he would always be sure to throw the ball to that kid. He was very, very kind, and usually it was to the ones that weren't as athletic as he was or whatever. He had a lot of compassion in him, so I knew he would always be, whatever he did, it was going to be with kids or something, because he was always good with them.
I was 8th grade, and I was playing for a team. We were playing up against this one kid, and I remember this kid, he was a long time, like, everyone knew him at the school. There was something just a tad bit off about him. He didn't have like any severe disabilities, just there was something, he wasn't firing on all cylinders. And he got up to the bat, and this was the kid who never even came close to hitting the ball one time all season. I mean, he was a given out. And we were winning by like 10 runs or something like that. And I remember he got up to bat, and I threw a pitch, and he wasn't even close to hitting the ball. And I was thinking to myself, this kid's never gonna hit the damn ball, So next pitch, I just lob it, poof, like this. And the kid swings, and he like foul tips it. Barely goes, and the crowd, get emotional. The crowd starts to like kind of look, because they're like, holy crap, this kid might actually get a hit. And what the hell is Rubio doing? Because I was known as like a good pitcher. I wasn't, Nolan Ryan or anything like that, but I was able to throw strikes. So the next pitch, and my coach goes, what are you doing, Rubio? What are you doing? I still remember this. Rubio, what are you doing? Strike him out, strike him out. I was like, no, I got it, no problem, sorry, bad pitch. Next pitch, lobbed it again. He hits it, comes right back to me. Kid's going crazy. Parents are going crazy. Everything's going crazy because this kid, first contact he's ever had on the damn ball. I get the ball, the coach says, throw it to first, throw it to first, throw it to first. And you can, like, it's one of those moments where you can stop and see it. And I could see his mom and dad, they're just going crazy. So I get the ball, look right towards first. I throw it into right field. Way over. Coach pissed off at me, and I kind of, it slipped out of my hand, man. Like that. Parents went crazy, kids on first base. Next guy struck out, okay? After the game, this kid's dad comes up to me, just bawling. He's like, thank you so much. He goes, I know what you did, thank you. You have no idea what this means to our family. I was like, no problem. I definitely root for the underdog a lot. And I think a lot of times that almost plays into my job now. I mean, because if you don't know what a long snapper is, if you don't have a long snapper as a son, a boyfriend, a husband, a brother, you don't know what that is. Hell, I didn't know what a long snapper was until the first time I saw someone do it. And this was like my sophomore year in high school. And I watched football my whole life, but I didn't know what one is. And if you look at the long snapper, you could definitely say they're like the underdog of the sport. I mean, no one cares about them, and they only get yelled at when they do something, or even spoken to when they do something wrong. And I think that kind of definitely does work its way into my job as well. What did he do wrong? No, before that. Nico, say it again. He didn't get set. He never allowed himself to get set, okay?
You are the most important person on the field. They will never kick the ball without you, I promise. Okay? It just won't happen. If you notice, he got his hands on the ball, he kind of went down and then just went. Get down, relax, enjoy life. Okay? You got as much TV time on your butt as possible. Then you snap the ball. Okay? Do it again. It's like Fargo. It's freezing out here. Breathe, butt down, lower, lower, breathe. Good. Now, fast snap. It's a little high for my taste. Okay? What should he do? Nah, his butt was fine. Say it again? Yeah, his spot was too high. He missed his spot. Okay? He has to just aim lower because the ball is rising. That ball would have kept going for another 15 yards and it would have just kept going like that. That's what we want. Okay? The faster you are, the lower your spot has to be, because the ball will rise, just like a jet. Okay, as the kids are younger and they're not as strong, their spot is higher because it's going like this. And that's okay. When you're young and you're a baby, that's what you gotta do. Okay, but if the ball is fast and it's rising, let it rise. Just aim lower. Okay, do it again.
It is not a center. You are a long snapper. For the world that does not know what a long snapper is, a long snapper is simply the person that comes in on fourth downs when the offensive team has not gained a first down. Okay, so say you're not within field goal range, you send out the long snapper to snap a 15-yard punt, snap right to the punter's hip. So right-footed punter right on his right hip, left-footed punter on his left hip. It should get back to the punter in about 0.75 seconds. Then at that point, you're gonna have to snap, then either block left or right, or if your team does not require blocking, you have to go downfield and try to make a tackle. If you are closer, you're within field goal range, you're going to go out there and snap a short snap, or basically a PAT, a field goal snap. That's going to be ranging between 7 and 8 yards, and the entire process from snap to kick should be less than about 1.35 seconds. Seventh, eighth grade, I'd say number one, started to get I was getting past the point of husky. Growing up, you're the husky kid. I kind of hurdled husky to chubby to just, he's a little bit large. And my eighth grade summer was the first time it was almost cool to be that big, simply because you're going into football. And what better purpose for a large man than going to play football? And I thought, this is great. I can finally be able to use my size. I can play tackle. You know, people have been telling me, okay, because high school you'll get to play, you'll get to play, you get to play. And I signed up, did the whole summertime stuff, had Hell Week, with the pads on, and by about the second day decided it is the worst sport I've ever even heard of. And I hated it. And I told the coach, what position would you like to play, Rubio? I'm gonna be a quarterback. He looked at me at 5'10", probably 250, 260, and said, you will never, ever touch the football, Rubio. And that was, there goes my balloon popped. It could have been the most miserable experiences of my life, just because I was uncomfortable, I was overweight, I was not in shape, it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be, and I had a coach that just yelled. And that was just the perfect storm where this sport's trash. I hated it. And I remember wanting to quit literally every single day. And my mom said, you are not quitting. You just make it through the season. If you don't want to ever play again, you don't ever play again. But you have to stick it out. And I was like, oh my God. And then I remember right after the season, my mom said, so how, season's over, what do you think? I go, I'm not playing again. I told you, I got through the season, high five to me, and I'm done. And that proved to me a lot of times when I've been in really bad situations, it wasn't as bad as freshman football.
He did. He finished the year out, and then he said, I'm not playing next year, which I said, okay, that's up to you. And I remember making it an official announcement at a Christmas dinner and just going, and I'm not playing football next year. And I remember caused a little bit of a stir, like, what the hell? You're big, the whole family's a football family, you're playing. No, I'm not. It's a stupid sport, I hate it. I'm not playing ever again. It didn't take but the first game that he realized he had made a mistake, that he should have played, and that he let his fear take over. Going to varsity games my sophomore year, like being a part of the crowd,
kind of lit a fire in me like, well, I kind of want to be out there. Like, this is fun and all, but I'd rather be the guy on the field. And this was pretty much the first time I had not been a part of a sport, you know, and it was one of those where, wow, this is kind of different on this side. And it allowed me to mature a little bit, figure out what I wanted to do, let my body mature. And that's, you know, that my sophomore spring when I wasn't playing, or pretty much winter, is when I learned how to long snap. Playing catch with one of my buddies. We're both sophomores, and we're just playing catch, and all of a sudden he gets down and he snaps me the ball. And I'd, you know, been a part of 1,000 football games, but when you're playing, you know, at recess, there's not a lot of call for punting with a shotgun, you know, a long snap. And I remember going, what was that? Because I'd never even seen one, ever. And he goes, long snap. And I go, what, do it again. So he gets over, and snaps me the ball. I go, I can do that. He goes, oh yeah, go ahead. So I was a quarterback. I get the ball, hold it like I'm gonna throw it. I bend over, and with one hand, just whip it back there. And he goes, what the hell? And I go, what? And he goes, you're really good at it. And I go, I am? And he goes, let me see the ball again. He gives me the ball again. He goes, yeah, man, you're really, really good at this. I said, okay, I'm good at it. Didn't even think anything about it. I would go back to my house, and I had a tree, I remember, and I used to just see if I could hit the tree. You know, I hit the tree again. Let me see if I can do it again. And just, I'd bend over and threw the ball. That's all I did. So it was easy to me. And then spring football comes out, okay, for junior year, so I'm going out at the end of my sophomore year. And the coach, anyone know how to long snap? My buddy does the old boom, hits me in the shoulder, I lean forward. It was my uncle at the time, or still, it was my uncle who was the head coach, says, Rubio, you know how to snap? I guess. Snap, you're good, you're done, you got it, done. I just started getting letters for long snapping, and I thought it was the most odd thing in the world. Like, is this a joke? Seriously, I'm getting letters for long snapping? And this is something that, you know, 24 months prior, I never even heard of. And now schools, UCLA, USC, Cal, all these schools, Columbia, Pitzer, are looking at me as an athlete. And it was, you know, I didn't do any like full-on official recruiting trips. This was pre, you know, long snappers actually getting some love, so to speak. So it was, you know, a coach would call me, something like that, and, you know, oh yeah, we're kind of interested in you. We've seen your film. We'd like you to, your grades are good enough, things like that. And I remember one particular time I was on the phone with Columbia.
Columbia called, you know, and wanted him to play. Well, the thought of my son going cross country was almost more than I could take.
And my mom handed me the phone. This is pre-cell phone. Chris, you got a phone call. Oh, yeah. Talking to the coach, I'm like, yeah, you know, Columbia, I've heard of it. It's a good institution, highly academic, blah, blah, blah. And my mom, Christopher, who are you talking to? It's a coach, Mom. From where? Columbia. You're not going to New York. And I was like, and the coach immediately goes, so I guess I should stop recruiting you? And I go, yeah, probably, sorry about that. And so it just, and it was down between like UCLA and Pitzer. Pitzer was a smaller academic school. And I ended up choosing UCLA because I always wanted to go to UCLA. It was like a dream to go there. They took me as a preferred walk-on, basically, and it was back in the time when you could have multiple position walk-ons. I don't think there was a limit or anything, or they just took a whole bunch of long snappers, because I remember one of the first days of practice, they lined us all long snappers up, and they'd have long snapper, punter, head coach Terry Donahue, which is a legend, assistant head coach Bob Fields, who's also a legend, and we each had to snap one ball, or two balls, or three balls, doesn't matter, and I was the only one that made it. And they said, congratulations, Rubio, you made the team. I said, wonderful, that's great news. And they said, you have to learn how to two-handed long snap. I said, I don't know how. They said, you have to learn within 1 week or you're off the team. I said, I'll learn. And so then I just started watching the guy that was ahead of me. And I just watched him do it. I would study him almost. I just look at him and look at him and look at him and look at him and just watch him and watch him. And this is, you know, pre-YouTube and internet and all that stuff. So you couldn't just type in like, oh, I wonder how to long snap. I would study him so hard, just watching him in practice, and just keep an eye on him, and I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And then I would practice all, you know, these little drills that I would make up for myself, which ironically, I use now for the kids that I teach. And the kids like him because I was big and lazy and I didn't want to move, so I made all my drills around me. So none of my drills are like 80-yard sprints. They're all like, okay, we can do it right here, and we'll make sure we take a 5-minute break. you know, and things like that. And that's why they work. I know they work because I did them. I invented them. And then I ended up my sophomore, junior, and senior season playing and starting a whole bunch of games. He walked on the field at UCLA. I was a redshirt sophomore, and I heard that we recruited a kicker. It's a kicker, so no one really paid attention to it. And all of a sudden I see this little tiny kid come out, looked all 90210-y. His hair's all gelled back. He's kind of got this little walk to him, and a little tiny kid, and I go, oh, that must be the new kicker.
If anything, I think one of the first things he said to me, he says, "You're that guy in scholarship? You better be good." I think that's one of the first words out of his mouth. So I do have vague memories, obviously, of kind of our first encounters. He was kind of a comedian. He was always around the linemen. So I think he ignored me more than anything else at the beginning.
But the best part about him right off the bat was he didn't act like a quote-unquote kicker. He just was like one of the guys. If he missed, it wasn't, oh my gosh, the world's ending, I missed, I did this, and you didn't have the snap right for me. He was, I missed. He never ever once blamed me for anything. Not that he could. I mean, I threw pearls back to him. And you know, I snapped him for 3 years. My joke always was, that guy's seen my butt more than anyone in the world.
To get Rubio to snap to you made all the difference in the world because you know, laces were always there. Punt snaps, the location was always spot on. So it just felt like, you know, there was no rush because the timing was so good using Rubio.
My junior season, between my junior and senior year, I started having back issues. Like, you turn this way, turn that way, and you go, ooh, you know, you kind of feel something. And one day we're doing off-season conditioning where you had to run around the entire football field in X amount of time. And I remember running, about to make that first turn after 100 yards, and all of a sudden, like my wind got knocked out of me as I was standing. And I always describe it as the scene from Dance with the Wolves when the buffalo gets shot and you see it fall and just like this. That was me. And I couldn't move. I felt like I couldn't move at all. And the trainers came over and the conditioning coach came over and some other guys came over. What happened? What happened? I go, I don't know. Something went wrong. Something really happened bad. And my back was just destroyed. I mean, they looked at it and they said, number one, there's no air in your back. And I said, okay, well, what does that mean? And so then they basically said, you shrunk. I was 6'3"3/4. Right after that, I was 6'1" 1/2. And I was like, yeah, that's probably not good. And then from that point on, it was just so much therapy. I mean, I remember ice baths and the stem, you know, the electricity they put on your back and just the hot pads. And it was, you know, we're looking at 2 hours easily a day. And the whole time Sailor was with me.
You know, he graduated a year before me because he had redshirted. I didn't redshirt. So I remember seeing him my senior year when I had a new long snapper in, and he always said, you missed that one because I wasn't there, you know, things like that. So we had a bit of a relationship still, but he kind of went and did his thing and went into the teaching world. And then, like I said, I was still in college. So we lost touch a little bit, but not a whole lot. I mean, we did get together for some family deals here and there, but it wasn't anywhere near what we were in college or what we are now. We kind of had that year of separation.
I'm just going to cruise you around a little bit. Lewiston, Idaho. Just a couple sights. It's kind of hazy today, so you're not going to get too much of a view. It's been really warm here. It's 95 degrees right now. It's 5:30, but 0% humidity. Anyone that knows me knows I have a very high hate of humidity. I think I might be allergic to it. So this is where I do my lessons. I have 2 locations that I do lessons at. This is the outdoor location. This would be when the weather's good. In the winter, it doesn't snow in Lewiston a lot, but it does get cold. I have an indoor location that I can use as well. So this is the outdoor. One of the best things about this, if you look around, there's no one out here. There's maybe 1 or 2 cars that'll pass by on the street, maybe some guy riding his bike around the track, maybe someone brings their kids, but there's no one else around here that cares about long snapping, which is great. So when the kids come out here, I basically relax, and I always tell them, no one around here cares, man. Just do your thing. Once a kid does some lessons with me, and I can feel that he's, snapping pretty well, and he's got some confidence going with him, what I'll do is I will ask him how he handles pressure. And he usually says, oh, I do pretty well. And I said, okay, I'm gonna really test you out. So what I do is I bring him over here, and I make him snap from here this way first. This is a major highway. Obviously, you can see it's not crowded at all. Have them snap this way, and they get kind of comfortable, and they're like, oh, it's not that big a deal. Then I put them pretty much on that white line over there, and then what I do is I stand over here. I stand right here like this, and I have to catch the ball from a snap. It's about a 12, 13-yard snap. It's got to be a perfect snap, essentially, because if you look, it'll drop down, basically 3,500 feet. And I always tell them, I'm not going to be the one that goes to get the ball. So I've actually had one kid miss, and he went down and got it, but I've had no other people miss. There's some kids that are unique. They need a little bit more help. And I just felt like those kids, you can do it. You just got to learn how to get to them. You have to learn what is going to make this kid click, things like that. And when I saw a teacher not put in the effort to make that happen, it would piss me off. Third grade is when I knew I would become a teacher. I remember this teacher, Gatdula, was explaining something to someone. And I remember thinking to myself, because I was sitting here, the kid was here, and the teacher came over. And I said, I could explain this better than this guy can. And he was a good teacher too. I remember him still to this day. I had other family members that were teachers, still do. And it was something that like I said, I enjoyed school. It wasn't a place of, jail time for me. It was more of just entertaining. And if I could be the person that entertained, but yet still got people to listen and learn, because to me, that's what teaching is. This is a picture of me teaching at Royal Oak Middle School in Covina, California. This is probably the last week of school. I'm wearing casual shorts, a Hawaiian shirt, and there's some gifts down here. This is when I was teaching with the Odyssey program, where we'd get a group of 6th graders, and we would follow them, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. Very emotional time because you get so close to the kids. I mean, you see the kid pretty much more than the parents do during the school year. You're with them for like 8 hours a day. And I taught the same kids English from 6th grade, into 7th grade, and to 8th grade. A lot of projects. It was a great program. And this is where CP and I, you can't see the whole classroom obviously, but this is where CP and I would teach 80 kids in a classroom at one time. So when I was teaching, he'd be going around asking questions, or he'd be working on his lesson plan for English, and we would go from there. And it was wonderful. This is where CP and I really bonded and got along really well. And very much like the Sailor and I relationship, we would bounce things off each other. The man himself, this is CP. His real name is Chris Paraglia, but that's too wordy, so I just said CP.
As far as lesson plans go, Chris was kind of the idea guy, that he would say, CP, I have an idea. And I would say, okay, what's your idea? And he'd say, I want to do this. And I'd say, okay. And then my role for part of the time was to make those ideas kind of doable. He was awesome. And sometimes we would sit down and plan, and he would say, okay, or I would say, let's do this. I need you to do this. I need you to kind of be this today. And he'd say, okay. So it was really cool. There was a lesson that he really, really liked when we did Athens and Sparta.
We were teaching the difference between Athens and Sparta. And there's major differences where Athens is a little bit more laid back.
Focused on education, intellectual endeavors, and Sparta was, the militaristic.
And just, let's go. And I told CP, let's do it this way.
So to teach the two, he asked me if I would become Athens for the day, and he was Sparta.
Kids come into class, and I go, let's go, guys. They're like, good, Mr. Rubio, how are you? And I go, good. By the way, I'm Sparta. And they're like, what? And I go, yeah, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. Number one, everyone's going to the military. Every single person, everyone. You do exactly what I say. Like if I said, you should probably write this down because it might be on a test, you probably should write it down. And then, they would kind of sit there and I go, so let me just reiterate. I'm Sparta, everyone goes in the military. And then finally someone goes, oh, we should write it down. And then I go, there's a smart kid, I'll take him in my government, like that. And then I go, and then CP would sit there and I go, who are you? He'd say, I'm Athens. And I go, what do you do? Well, no one has to go into my military. Huh, it's pretty important. Wonder if they should write it down.
I was talking about the importance of reading and learning and, philosophical thought, and he was talking about, no, let's just go to war, let's just fight.
And then it was almost like a ping pong match, we'd call it, where he would hit it to me, I'd play, go right back to him, and go back to me. And the kids, it was so funny to watch because they're, we were very fortunate that our school board and our school staff, the administrators allowed us to do certain things where they understood that we're going to get the proper test scores because we're going to teach our kids very, very well. But we also need, if we want to go in the back field of a school and we want to dig a 40 by 60 hole for an archaeological dig, we have the opportunity to do that too. And they would allow us to do something like that. CP and I obviously were good friends. He was one of the things we had in common was we were both large. He was not as large as I was. He was probably 250 at the time. I was well over 3 clicks.
Yeah, totally unhealthy and, heart attack waiting to happen, without a doubt.
And he started doing this like high protein, low carb diet. And he goes, I don't even think you can do it. I said, if you can do it, I can do it, man.
I said, just do what I'm doing. Eat what I eat, only do what I do.
I said, all right, let it rain, let's go. So he started bringing me breakfast and lunch. And it was just one of those things where breakfast and lunch would come, and then I would text, hey CP, can I eat this? No. Damn. Okay. CP, can I eat this? Yeah, you can eat that. Okay. And so he was kind of like my food coach. I don't know if my body was maturing or what, but it just took off inches very, very quickly and ended up becoming healthier for it.
That was a part of his persona though, he was just this large, just this presence, physically and verbally. One day he came in, this was at the beginning of the 7th grade year, and he said, I think the kids should build chariots. That was one of his ideas. And he said, he goes, CP, how are we gonna make that happen? So we planned this, and I said, we can't just have them build chariots. Like, that's fun and that's cool and all, but like they have to learn too. So we kind of came up with this project where they did different things to learn about Rome, part of which was to build the chariot. And then we had chariot races, and it ended up being pretty cool.
It was great because you'd have your occasional crash, which make a good blooper reel, but they never forgot it, and they'd have to come up with a big poster board of exactly what culture they were doing, why did they do it, how did they make it, what kind of tools would these people have at the time, and then 8th grade year, the accumulation came to where they got to build a roller coaster. And it wasn't just, a little Lego roller coaster. We're talking about a roller coaster that had an actual loop in it that took up an entire gymnasium. And I'm not talking just, okay, you're thinking, oh yeah, the gym floor. No. This thing shot up, 50, 60 feet. It required thousands of dollars of wood, screws, It got so much publicity that the local paper would do a story on it. Then we'd have local news channels doing stories on it. And it was just great because it allowed the kids to learn traditional information, physics and all that good stuff in an untraditional way, but something they'll never ever forget.
Yeah, I love that. I ended up doing another loop of Odyssey with a second group of kids, and I enjoy teaching. I think it's a pretty awesome job, but I would say that teaching in Odyssey is probably just being a part of that is the highlight. I'm going to be teaching for, probably 20 more years, but I still feel like that time at the beginning is probably going to be the highlight of my career.
Top 12 camp. It's June 21st. We're in Southern California. This is easily my favorite camp of the year because you get to meet the kids and experience more of them on the background level. And I was just thinking to myself, Sailor and I combined in June right now, this is June 21st, I would say we've been in 10 hotels.
At least.
In just June. So, one more. Here we go.
It's a familiar one.
Immediate find of power source. Phone dies at least, we'll go 6 times a day. Right now is making sure that these people get these rooms ready for these kids. I'd like to let the kids hang out a little bit, if you will. I'd like to see them relax a little bit before they have to go on the field. I know the kids are going to be very nervous right now. And I want them to relax. I know this is a very, very big weekend for them. A lot of people are already looking forward to it. They've been anticipating it. I was talking to a kid yesterday, one of the top 12ers, and I said, he was just texting me a random question. Then I said, okay, relax for tomorrow. And he goes, I go, are you ready for tomorrow? He says, I've been waiting 2.5 years for this.
All right, so from the Vegas events, we choose the top 12. In January, we pick the top 12 kids. In May, we pick what's called the event elite. There's no limit, there's no minimum, there's no maximum. It could be 1 kid, it could be 20 kids. Just the best of the best. They all come together. They're invited to one of our only invite-only camps in June in Los Angeles. So they fly in from all over the country. It's instruction, it's a lot of competition. It's just the best of the best. You don't have any beginners there. You have to earn it. You have to earn the gold shirt. Then the kids wear it with pride. You'll see them wearing it at every camp there from that point on. Whether they go to a college camp or one of our camps, they're always wearing it. It's kind of basically like, you know, getting a Letterman jacket. And it's a bragging point, and it should be. I think our ratio of kids wearing that gold shirt and going to college is about 99%. So it's not something we just, oh, everyone's invited to this invite-only camp. No, that'd be stupid. It's, you have to be the best, and once you're the best, you get to go there, and the best get better, and you get to see how the kids compete, how the relationships they build. That's the big part. That's my favorite camp of the year. The kids really get to know one another, put them up in a hotel for the weekend, spend a lot of time with them. It's just an overall wonderful camp. One of my little things is whenever my long snappers go to college, you know, for instance on scholarship, preferred walk-on, I always request a pair of shorts. Carew, come here. This is Tanner Carew. He's the #1 long snapper in the country for 2014. He just committed to
Oregon.
The Oregon Ducks. So I said, where's my shorts? And there you are. Thank you. I always get it. That's what I do. Told you. 3 tries. Within 40 yards, I'll hit it every single time. Morrison, how excited are you to get that shirt?
The yellow shirt? I'm very excited. I'm going to wear that thing to church. You know? That's a good comeback. Youngstown State Penguins back to Wisconsin. Sit!
That snap was fantastic to me. Zach Wade versus Seth Combs. Back, lean back, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. Good. Good, Garrett. Good, Garrett. Good, Garrett. Good, Garrett. Good, Garrett. Get a tan. Is that Mitch Hardy? That's beautiful. That's just gorgeous.
The steps.
Are you
fatter. Yes. Just like that. Now do it. Yeah, just like that. We're driving a bus. Driving a bus. Okay, just like that. Fat and wide. Like this.
So that'd be 102 point.
Because if you get narrow like this, I'm going to toss you. Okay? You're shorter. That's perfect. You want to be shorter for this.
So you can just...
You can't move you. Tall and thin, I hate for this drill. Okay? Let's go. You know that. Let's go. Aim low. You're going to have adrenaline. It's going to fly. I'm right next to you. You got a camera right to your right. Everything's getting nervous. Low. And oh my God, it's right on the hip.
Ball.
Give me another ball, please. Patrick, freeze. You and him. Okay?
All it is just my elbow.
See it? Yeah. That's what you need to do. You have a big head. It's not for the bigger brain. It's for whipping it through. You can cheat. One day.
You got it. Let's go.
Got it. Oh! Someone opened the door. A little wind drift on that one. Lean to your right now. Stretch your groin. Got it? Morrison. Joe. I feel Big Nate.
Fantastic.
Big Tom. Big Freeze. Davis. Is everyone refreshed? All it is legs. All it is legs.
All right, throw it back.
Focus on your legs. Focus on your legs. How quickly can you lock them out? That is where all your power is coming from. Excellent, Nate. Great follow through. Reach back, AJ. Get set. You've got long arms for a reason. It's not so you can tie your shoes standing up. Okay? Gentle, Billin. Gentle, Winky. Good. Gentle, Nate. Gentle. Toes are forward. There we go. There we go, Daddy. There we go. Slowly, slowly. To the right now. Gentle. Gentle. Nice. Gentle feet. Gentle. Gentle. Toes are going forward. To the left. Gentle. Gentle. Kyle, that's 2 big steps. Gentle. Gentle. To the right. Gentle. Don't get your feet too close. Don't get your feet too close. I mean, it's still, I'm going to go with 80% dark.
Yeah.
But it's definitely creeping up.
It's dignified.
That's what I say. I think I look more dignified as a proper
More
word.
George Clooney?
Well, salt and pepper.
Clooney-esque.
And everyone always says, "Are you, gray up top?" I got nothing. I can't tell. I shave my head, once a day.
I can't wait for it.
Can't wait for what?
A little salt and pepper.
Are you getting
I'm
any?
really great. No, up here.
You got some bread in your beard.
Yeah, I know.
Hard, 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 hard. Woo-hoo! Okay, go get some water. Come back to me. Let's go get some water. Get him some water. Your hands stop. If I'm punching you, you went like this. Stop. Instead of like this all the way through. So, all the way through. Now, don't worry about your legs. Your legs are fine. It's your hands. Stop them. If I'm going from A, B, C, all the way to Z, you let the ball go to M. Instead of all the way to Z. All right, so just follow through. Go get some water.
It's funny. He does these national camps, but he also does like the top 12 camps. And I'll never forget. I was a sophomore or junior in college. I was long snapping at Duke, and I came up to get some extra work in to continue to work with them and to work with some of the younger guys, kind of like the fraternity thing we were talking about. And the camp was at Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks. People had flown in from all around the country just to come into this, and they put them up at a hotel. Everyone kind of goes into a hotel, and Rubio and Saylor are organizing the whole thing, and they're driving buses, and they're not even buses, but like vans to get you back and forth and shuttling you. And we were doing basically 2 days where we would snap in the morning, have a lunch break, have a couple hours in between, and then we would go back to workouts in the afternoon. Well, they would take us back to the hotel during lunch for that break, and we had happened to have just a standard small pool in the back of this hotel. So Rubio and Sailor would conduct belly flop contests at the pool, and it was as if you were just at like a summer camp. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Heavyweights, but it's like, it was like the most fun you've ever had in your life, and you could just be 100% completely yourself.
We'll talk about it, man. It was depressing. We've won it 10 years in a row.
It's been 10 years. It's been a long time in the making. Kickers come through every year. To be honest with you, I think the Snappers have been cheating all these years.
We came out a little bit too confident. We've been dominating so much in the years past that I thought it was just a given. They had a kid, I don't know if he was a ringer or something, because I've never seen this kicker before. And I'm letting you know he was phenomenal. He deserved to win. He got good height. He used his athleticism a little bit more than we expected. He didn't have a lot of LBs, but he still was phenomenal. I mean, we went out to a champion, but it's still depressing.
Game, he wins.
I got into my business because I needed to have an income. I needed to start a family and do those sorts of things. And so on the side, when I was playing professionally, I started doing lessons. So I worked lessons, got a chance to work some smaller camps, things like that. But it was kind of more of a way to pay some bills. I really didn't start big camps until the idea of Vegas came up. And talking to these coaches, they said, we need something to see these guys. If we can't see them, we're not going to offer a scholarship. In Vegas, the first thing I thought was, this has to be real football. All the camps I had run were, using kicking sticks or things like that, but we never had long snappers. And so I said, I got to bring some guys to basically facilitate our drills.
I get a call from Sailor. Rubio, what's going on? I said, what's up, man? What do you need? He said, I'm running this kicking camp. I said, fantastic, good job. He goes, I need snappers there. Kind of all basically to facilitate the drills, just to start. He goes, I want you to be the instructor there. I said, hey man, this has been like 3 years. I don't even know what I don't know how to do that. He goes, you got a good personality. You obviously know what you're doing. Come on. Sailor, I don't know, man. He goes, I need you there. In or out? I go, He goes, I'll pay for your trip to Vegas. I go, I'm in, let's go.
So I set up like a tryout, sent out some basic flyers, and I had about 20 guys show up to Notre Dame High School that wanted to come out and snap. And I was actually surprised I was able to get that many.
So he flies me out there, and there was like 6 or 7 long snappers, and it was us all day long for 2 days. So 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, just us 8. I counted myself because I felt so bad for the kids because they were snapping so many balls that I ended up snapping like 2,500 footballs that weekend. I mean, my inner thighs are bruised from snapping.
And that's kind of how the whole thing started with Rubio in Vegas, and kind of how he got into this was coming to babysit 10 guys. We had about 7 staff guys. It was way understaffed, things like that. So he kind of jumped right into it. And to be honest with you, he wasn't in the best of shape at the time. He was more large Rubio at the time. So if you see the pictures and the old videos, it was pretty interesting to watch large Rubio out there. But he could still snap. I mean, he was a phenomenal snapper, and obviously he was a teacher. So that kind of led right into his ability to work with the kids.
Had a couple kids go off to schools, because this was back when coaches could come to the camp. And Sailor goes, you only had 6 kids at this camp, but you can do well at this. You should do like camps and lessons and stuff like that. And I was like, who would do this? Come on, man. Seriously? He goes, I'm telling you, you can do it.
He started doing snapping lessons, I believe, our 3rd year together. That was kind of when I remember that starting, yeah.
But yeah, I remember. I mean, I think he had 1 snapper at a camp and 2 at the next one. I mean, that's kind of the size of what he was able to generate at the start. I mean, so for him, it was more, again, still kind of helping me out. But then as it grew and as people started to become aware of it, and to be honest with you, a couple kids got scholarships, and that started driving it up as well. I remember a kid going to SC at the time, one going to Duke at the time, and that kind of said, hey, if we're getting scholarships, we can push this thing a bit harder.
We just started doing more camps, took a risk. I think at this point we did like 1 fall camp in Northern California maybe. And then it became 2 fall camps. Maybe we'll do Texas again, and then it became Georgia. Maybe Chicago. Well, we might as well do North Carolina that we're in Georgia. We do that. And then instead of just doing it in the fall, well, let's try the spring too. Let's try the summer as well. And then after about 9 years ago, Sailor and I we were actually in Hawaii for a camp, I believe it was. And we were talking like, yeah, we can do this. And he goes, I think you can do it now, man. I think you can quit teaching. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
I do remember talking to him about when we started to get like the rosters of kids who were enrolled in the program, and saying, oh, we've got this one who's a sister of this one, we've got this one, and we were always excited about having kids that we labeled generational. And he and I were we were in charge of this generation, and I was doing most of the work to make sure that it happened, and he wasn't really around for it. So, I mean, he was being torn in 2 directions.
So when he came to me, and I could see he was very, very nervous about it, because he wasn't sure either. Is he going to give up all this steady? I had the same job for 40 years. We lived in the same house for 40 years. Was he going to really make this big change?
In talking to him kind of in his last couple of years, I remember I'd call him, he'd call him on his breaks during school and things like that. He was getting a little frustrated with some of the stuff that happens, being a teacher, the behind the scenes stuff, not teaching, but dealing with kind of the bureaucracy there in the school and things like that. So he'd always said, if I could ever do something to get out of that end of things, I'd be willing to do it. But I know it was very hard for him to let go of being a teacher, because he enjoyed his kids. He had done it for some time, and really he kind of felt like he was disappointed in the kids that were looking forward to having him as a teacher, that were coming up from below.
But it was pretty emotional. I felt like we were breaking up, because we had such a great rapport, the 2 of us, and it was so effortless. And then to go back and do it all over again from the beginning, knowing what we knew about each other and how we work well together, it just seemed such a fantastic thing. And I think I got the sense that he had known before he told me. And I think for him, the hardest person to tell was me, because we had built this thing together, and it was hard for me to kind of imagine it without him.
It was something that I was looking into because the long snapping business was becoming so big that I would be waking up early to speak to coaches and answer emails. Then I'd go teach from, say, 7:30 to 4. And then from 4 to 8, I would do lessons, or I'd answer more emails and more calls. It was becoming where I'd work 80, 90 days in a row, where I just would, on the weekends I'd do lessons, or I'd run a camp. And it just became overwhelming to where I couldn't do it anymore. And so he said, yeah, man, I think you can do it. I said, oh, okay. And so you're talking to this kid who his entire life grew up, gonna be a teacher, gonna be a teacher, gonna be a teacher, gonna be a teacher. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 years old, all of a sudden sees, hey, I'm gonna leave this job that I knew I was gonna do my entire life. I'm gonna leave the comfort of getting insurance. As an adult, that's a big thing. You know, the monotony in a good way of wake up, I could ride my bike to school to teach, ride back, just hang out, had, you know, all bunch of things. And I'm gonna go poof.
Go. Yep.
You were the best all weekend. You were the best all weekend. Nice job, baby. Nice job, baby.
Everything that you see is Chris Rubio. No one else touches anything. So if you have a complaint, complain right to us because we made the mistake. If you have something nice you want to say it to us because we're the ones that did it. You know, you see a kid signed, you know we were on the phone. If you see the rankings, you know we touched them. You see a mistake, you know we made the mistake. Every college coach knows it, every kicker punter knows it, every long snapper knows it. So we stand behind our work and we're proud of what we do.
We just finished our 11th annual. The first one we had 6-7 long snappers, and this last January had 185. So it's grown immensely. It's something that if I had $1, I wouldn't have bet that it would have succeeded. I would have said, you gotta be crazy. And it went from 1 lesson per month to now I live in rural Idaho and have had 85 come see me in a year. And it's not exactly an easy place to get to. The working with the kids part, that's easy. Okay, you can do that. Anyone can do that. It's the working with the parents. It's working with the kids here. Okay, you can teach a monkey how to snap a football. Okay, you can't teach a monkey to have confidence in itself. And that's one of the things that I think separates myself in the business is that I'm not just teaching you how to snap, man. That's one tiny aspect that we're going to get to. It's going to be how much more can I teach you? And that's what I like to hear from a parent when they say, if my kid doesn't ever snap a ball again, you've taught him enough. That's awesome. Everything truly does happen for a reason.